I walked the street somewhere up that way, and I could smell fire. And immediately this sense and belonging, I was at home. I was at home. And so I carried that smell and walked and walked and walked until I came to what is now, was then Allied Indian and Métis Society, the Ames House, and has since evolved into something else to support men's sweat lodge and a men's housing, and to support women's housing. And there worked Guyandales. And Guyandales, I smelled the fire and looked over the fence, and there's this woman sitting there poking at a fire. And I recognized the little hutch as being a sweat lodge. And so I was just like, so I know I'm at home. And so I went inside and I asked her, can I come and sit by the fire with you? And she, by all means, but go get some wood. She's pointed at a little storage container, and I went in there and I picked up the biggest pile of wood that I could possibly carry and brought it, and I plopped it down on the ground. And she said to me, "You're my firekeeper." And she took her poking stick, wood fire poking stick, and she just reached over. She said, "Get on your knee." So I got on my one knee, and she hit me on one shoulder, hit me on the top of my head and my other shoulder. And she said, "You're now my firekeeper." And so that was how I came into 41 years of being a firekeeper. And I've kept fire for many, 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 many ceremonies, for many communities. And so when it came time, putting the fires together at that little garden over there, I worked there for 10 plus years, establishing in the city here the need for community to gather around fire, and all the needs the community has to have fire, and what purposes the fire are for. So I had that dream about having fire on a regular basis, that people could come to the fire, ask for a special fire for them, their family, for their community. And by doing so, it came to be that we were able to do this Saturday fire. This fire is a sacred connection for us Indigenous people, and in a time when reconciliation is an action, this is what you're going to do. You're going to give us whatever it takes for you to answer your people, your authorities, that we're having this fire. I will do what I do to keep this sacred, safe, a very safe place for all of the members of the community. At some point, it came to my mind that if we all of us come, I have teachings from many other elders that have come and gave messages that we're all coming to the fire. If all of the human two-legged peoples were not here, Mother Earth would have no problems whatsoever. Mother Earth is capable of carrying on life and healing all on Mother Earth's own self. It's not needed for me to heal Mother Earth. So I welcome the two-legged people, human beings, to come to this fire. 8 billion, as I find out. 8 billion of us to come and join up so that we don't carry on the destructive habits and patterns that we have for a very long time. Human beings, two-legged peoples, are the one and only species in the world that is so destructive, that have fallen and walked away from their original teachings. Every other creature, every other being, every other species, every other part of creation follows in original instructions. Two-legged human beings are the one that have gone that far and created and caused this mess that we're in now. And it's not up to human beings, two-leggeds, to fix it. But it is up to us to take responsibility. And it is our duty as Indigenous people, as people who are caring, good-minded people, to not carry on in the destruction, not go on about the big benefits that they can reap from spoiling the water. 8 billion of us around this fire, Mother Earth will take Mother Earth's time to do the healing necessary so that 7 generations from now, there'll be such a world, I won't have to dream about it, because it will be the reality based on some of the work that goes on around, such as the sacred fire and many other ceremonies and many other offerings that the indigenous communities of the world are able to speak up, be loud, and show how it's done. And so authorities are aware of this fire. I have to do a tiny little bit of things, like let the fire department know, sacred fire today. Parks Board, open the gate for us today. We're coming in for a sacred fire. Parks Board, City Hall, you want to come into the sacred fire, you know what the protocol is. If you don't know, then I know that someone in your around your table or in your offices will know what the protocol is to come in and join in the sacred fire, in these seats at this table and at this place around the warmth of the sacred fire. This is what is here. I am the head firekeeper of this fire, but it is not my fire. As you watched, I had 4 others do the work. This is their fire. This is our fire. I take no responsibility as I'm some big somebody. I'm an Indian. I'm an Indian from the street. I like to just sit quietly on my own and not have to be some big head and big talking with messages. I just like to be nice and relaxed and comfortable and hang out with everybody else and just be like everyone else and have this go on anyway. And I see it happening over here at Crab parking lot. A longhouse, and I see an outdoor fire pit with lots of seating around, having an outdoor fire, sacred space outdoors, as well as those who are longhouse people know the protocols and know what goes on inside of the longhouse, know that that is going to be there at Crab parking lot. Mark my words that that's where we're going. I saw on the social media a canoe full of Indian people come, and they launched a brand new canoe from this very, very little beach right here at Crab Park. And it was a dream by many of us, not so many, that we had to make a park, and in the 80s, early 80s. And that dream is what we have right here at Crab Park. And so it takes a dream and then the effort, the work to do by having a sacred fire to put a longhouse and many, many, many more canoes launched and come asked to be welcome here into the downtown east side of Vancouver, where I know you know the issues that are alive in the downtown east side. And to think of my community and my neighbors from the hood being able to stand and welcome in canoes to Crab Park, into this beach, into this community, and to that longhouse, and to these fires. I say to you, where are we going with reconciliation? And what did the residential school survivors lose? We'll get it back. We will get it back. And the generations of Indians that have had their lives destroyed, taken, policies of extermination by KKK Canada since the very beginning, to come over here and extract all of the resources and impoverish the First Peoples whose ancestors are in this very grain of sand. That's, you can have your dream. I believe they are all possible. A little bit of work is all I need to do. And to keep doing what I do and know that I do it in a good way, and it isn't for me. It's not for me. It's for the ones that I cry for. The ones whose lives are gone and whose oral history I carry. And will continue to carry until the time when there is love and peace here on not only Turtle Island, but on Mother Earth. So that's, to me, what the little story that I have and I carry about Crab Park.
Crab Park is under a lot of duress or pressure, whatever a good word might be. And over to the north here, there's stuff that wasn't here like even a year ago. There's a huge container facility by Dubai Port World, and they already own the area over here where they had an accident in 2015 with chlorine fire in a container and sent 12 downtown Eastside people to hospital. And that was all played down by the so-called authorities and experts, from the fire department to the police to emergency response. They just play down the fact that there's dangerous cargo all along the waterfront here. Nobody talks about that. And the media is not going to cover the story. It's important that some words get out. And the central waterfront, this is the central waterfront of Vancouver. People think it's just like, oh, downtown Eastside, we don't like it. This is the central waterfront of Vancouver. Everybody in Vancouver, this is their, they live here, this is their waterfront. And it's really being, a lot of it to me is being destroyed.
Do you think a park is important? Like, why is it important to you in the community? And so I was asking Don, why have you devoted for the last 40 years of your life? Why is this important?
Yeah, well, I can't totally answer that question. it something in the heart is a passion, I guess, and it comes and goes now because I don't feel quite as strong as I did at one time. Literally, even like I'm 75 years old. So, and like the Arendts family and were important. Fred Arendts, Brian, Brenda, and others, and many of them are gone now. So like, you know, I feel like I represent that. And our artist right here, over here, we can maybe take a quick look at this band shell. This is the work of Richard Pooley, also known as Torah. Yeah, he's a white guy. But that was our history. We were not all native people. And times are changing, but the history of crab is like a rainbow group. You know, there was kind of everybody. And that's just how it was at that time. So this is quite worn. And personally, I was hoping that the park board would repaint it. And this is obviously not being looked after, which is kind of typical of Crab Park nowadays. The last year or two, the park board and the port are really kind of doing a number on the park in my mind. So this fencing was put up by the Parks Board. Looks kind of like prison fencing. I would assume that's what it looks like. And it separates the homeless encampment from the rest of the park. Because in the summer, the homeless encampment probably would have taken over the whole park. And there is damage to the park, and it's not all like perfect by any means. So we're just approaching the 4-acre parking lot. There's a couple of birds squawking around here, so get that on the video. And so this is the 4-acre parking lot behind us here, and the port is, you know, after months, they've found no real good use for it. They've got some ugly garbage cans, some kind of container vehicle over here, truck, and it's basically still empty. And you know, like Veronica said, we like a native healing lodge over here. The port doesn't support that. Even the park board doesn't seem to fight for it. They voted for it, but then that's it. And the bird marsh should expand greatly into the 4-acre parking lot also. You can hear some birds, I think. And usually there's no water in this bird marsh because of heavy rains recently, but the bird marsh is really dying. That's why it needs to be much bigger. Like there's invasive plants that need to be pulled out of here. There's giant hogweed in here, and the giant hogweed is actually dangerous. If you touch the giant hogweed plant in here and then touch your eyes, it could cause like severe medical damage. And that doesn't get any quick reaction out of the park board at all. And there's also milfoil, which Ryder Cooey was trying to pull out of here by himself. And that's a job the park board should be doing. And actually the bird marsh is looking a little better than it has the last month, but just because of the heavy rains. A young guy died here. His tent was just over here, and just by that near that tree. And he was a white guy, and that's all I know. Nobody seems to know his name. And there was a little attempt at putting a memorial there of some sort, but he overdosed. And so, like, everything is not ideal with a tent city. It's not a perfect anything. And Veronica led to the planting of all these little seedlings, 215 seedlings. Veronica, you should talk to the 215 seedlings.
Yes, hi. Yeah, in, I don't know, a month or a little bit more ago, since the uncovering of the 215 children's remains at the residential school in the interior there, someone came up with an idea to get some trees, and so we have here 215 cedar and Douglas fir marked by orange stakes, which is the orange everyone's familiar with as of a couple of days ago, about the orange T-shirt, orange shirt by the young stolen child. And so we had this great idea to come to Crab Park here and plant some of those seedlings. And so each one of them was marked with the number and planted by the community, who's working on trying to stop the pipeline, TMX pipeline, and over on the Burnaby Mountain area there, where the pipeline is taking down so many trees. The city has taken down so many trees, is what I think, and allowed land to be turned into housing, businesses, buildings, and concrete and all. So we came up with this great idea of planting trees and as many seedlings as we can come up with to be able to help. So here we have the 215 trees. Did you get a picture of this little plaque? One of our artists who's right now by the fire put up here for us. Yeah, and speaking about the bird marsh, what I heard was that there's 68 species of animals that come, not just two-legged people and dogs, but there's 68 other species that come to this marsh, and it's such a tiny little small marsh, and it dries up, but when it's has water in it, it's fresh water. It's fresh water, and we all pretty much need fresh water. I know there's an ocean full of salt water, but most of us can't drink that. Maybe some of the fishes do, but otherwise, fresh water. This is also the only fresh water from here. I don't know, close to the border, Canada-U.S. border, and then going the other way. I think it might be New Brighton Park, which Parks Board remediated and made such a fancy, nice-looking space over there. But I think that too is not even fully a freshwater area for animals to come to. And I think that once we have this healing lodge and longhouse here, this marsh can be grown and increased in size, and 128 species, creatures, can come to this marsh and enjoy and drink the water and access the freshwater marsh. So that's the plan, and with the Crab parking lot coming in, our idea as well is advocating that it be all indigenous plants and forget about the little green grass that everybody has around their private homes. I'm not interested in having any of that. To let it grow in such a wild way that all those 128, 68 at present can come to be over there in that parking lot, which is now an asphalt surface with a bunch of garbage containers on it. And for years, it's only ever remained a dirt parking lot. And the only ones who ever spent any time in there were the police on their donut and coffee breaks. Yeah, and I know because I spend lots of time here in Crab Park, have over the years. I'm not too keen about being here while there's a tent city here. I understand the needs of the unhoused community, but I quite asked them, seriously asked them not to come to Crab Park when the dismantling of the Strathcona tent city happened. No, not Crab Park. There's just not enough green space for the community as it is. And it's forever growing taller and taller and taller with more and more and more larger and growing into the sky buildings. And the need for green space there's lots of dogs in these new places, housing places by condo owners, and there's lots of dogs that come to the park and lots of people that come to the park. And when you can drink here too, it brings more people. And marijuana is such a free choice now that you can come here and smoke up and enjoy your medications right here, your marijuana medication right here. Well, I don't want to be downwind or I don't want to be impacted by either one of those. And so I would like enough green space around me to be able to enjoy being in the park as well. And then having unhoused people in tents is just, there's just not enough room. So I think really the city and anyone else who can make that change, I would really like to see this fencing taken down and replaced with green indigenous plants. Let's go see, this is one of my favorite spots when I come to Crab Park. I never come into Crab Park without making a visit over to this bench over here. Don Larson, who has carried on the looking after Crab Park since the early 80s, when we all talked about and considered we need a park here in Vancouver that's in the Downtown Eastside. And Don's mom and Don's dad have been a really big part of supporting Don and supporting the community to get this park. And they showed up with boxes of fruit, homemade cookies, juices, and helped on our yearly event, giving out cookies and juice. And here we have a memorial bench to Don's mom, dad, and also to Don Larson. At one time when we were here and we did the campout in 1984, we would be able to wake up on, well, it was landfill. It was just a landfill site over here. So we used to be able to wake up here in 1984, and we were here for 60, 70 days or something or other like that. So we get up here in the morning and we would look out this way, and through Lions Gate Bridge, we could see the open ocean. And what a difference that made when in my waking up, to be able to wake up, walk out here and look over there and think of a much larger world, a much greater space beyond what we see here today. The container terminal, DP World from Dubai, and containers all on this side, and ships that come in super giant ships that come in here to load up. And at one time we'd see the mountains over here and see what the weather was like. And now we see sails where once we could see past the Lionsgate Bridge. And in the 80s, buildings were, the city had a ceiling on buildings being 4 stories high. And if you look around, there's many 20-story buildings here. And many of these buildings over that far where the sales are not housing. Those are office buildings and empty of anybody living or being in them all night long, while people sleep here in Crab Park. And over there where the Woodward's W is also a 20-story building, which on this side are all condos. And I know that people were a part of a tent city that was right there at Woodward's, and this is what we get for all the effort of so many people and providing space around the Woodward's building for a tent city there. And we end up having to look at condo owners who complain about us here in Crab Park. Yeah, it's very different. It's very different these days. And yeah, I'm you know, Crab Park, I've worked long and hard with Don Larson, Fred Aarons, many other community members that have done a lot of work here. And I just know that without Crab Park, it would be a much sadder place to be be around here in downtown.